before getting into the talk a little bit deeper, one thing that I think people will kind of assume when we talk about reshoring U.S. manufacturing is this idea that we should be making, every single circuit board for a toaster oven here in the U.S., whereas some other folks who are, closer to the advocacy side, they advocate more, we should be making those advanced products that are critical to national security and, maybe really the critical pieces for certain high value products like, the circuit board for an iPhone, let's say. Maybe it's a good idea to make some of that here. They also advocate spreading the capacity around. So if you just take all the manufacturing capacity and move it here to the US, well, then you kind of have the reverse problem that we've had since COVID, which is, during COVID, you couldn't get the chips in fast enough. And if you just have all the capacity here, then you can't get the chips out or the boards out fast enough to get to your customers. So give us a little more nuance on this perspective. What do you think the manufacturing mix in the U.S. should look like?
I think manufacturing worldwide is going to need to become regional, where you have regional manufacturers supporting their region, because the basic fact is built on the fact that manufacturing jobs created the middle class. We lose manufacturing jobs, we lose the middle class. So yes, we were ahead in high technology products for years and years, but now China's caught up with us. So we can't just manufacture those high tech products in the country. And we also have the problem of, the supply chains need to be compressed because we are globally moving products all over the world by ship and by air. And it's not responsive to the new desire of consumers to want somewhat customized products. You can't do that when you're mass producing in another company and you're getting a whole ship container full of all the same parts that you are just standard. So in the future, and I've actually have done a presentation called The Future of Manufacturing. And when we see, people went to China for lower labor rates, but some of them went to China when they didn't have any real need to, because the actual input of manufactured parts was maybe labor cost was only 20 to 30% of the cost of the product. If a product has under 30% labor content in it, you may have not saved money going to China because of the cost of increased inventory for safety stock, the cost of, quality problems, communication problems dealing with people overseas, the time lag to get your parts. So that's the basis of that total cost of ownership, that you have all those factors that are quantified into a formula that you can now actually use to see if you're saving money by going to China or whether you could have it domestically and come out the same equal. Because, the total cost is everything related to the cost of that, making that product. So labor is only one part of it. So but even, with automation, things that used to be labor intensive are no longer labor intensive because they've been automated. And we have robotics and new technologies and cobots and, so those technologies are changing how productive and cost effective a manufacturer in the United States can be. And it's increased their ability to produce products cheaper and faster now than they could before. So that's the biggest change, is that the input of technology is changing the way we do things.
One of the questions that this brings up, I think, is, let's suppose a company wanted to move let's say 50% of their manufacturing from China into the US. They wanted to take advantage of a shorter supply chain. They wanted to be closer to their customers, whatever, right? One of the challenges that the folks at IPC and even, here at Altium that we often talk about is two issues. One of them is workforce development. There just aren't enough people trained to do this stuff. And then another issue, which has been brought up by Sean Kincaid on a recent podcast episode, was that we didn't even make the production equipment here in the US. You have to go overseas just to get the production equipment.
That's true. Yes, that's definitely true. We've really lost a lot of our machine tool industry making those machines that we use for manufacturing. And that is a factor. But the reverse of that is some of those machines are so costly to ship that some of those manufacturers have set up plants in the United States now making them, which we can see that from all the car manufacturers that came to the United States to have plants here, Nissan, Toyota, BMW, etc., because it's expensive to ship cars overseas. So that's another factor. I just wrote, my last article was about workforce development and how we can solve some innovative solutions to solving the skills gap. Because if we could be short of over 1 million jobs by 2030 of the people qualified for manufacturing jobs. And some people are afraid that automation and robotics and artificial intelligence are going to be eliminating jobs. And they are. When we can see it, we go to a store now and we have, an automatic kiosk to check out instead of a cashier. But manufacturing jobs actually need a lot of people doing things, to run the machines, to program the machines. And that's not going to be replaced by a robot or artificial intelligence. You can have programs to speed up. Artificial intelligence can use to write faster programs and speed up processes, but it's not going to take the place of a person doing hands-on work.